Hey guys, BigDebuffs here. Today we're on the Restoration Shaman, and we are going to go over my Resto Shaman wish list for things I want to see happen for Resto Shaman in PvP in 11.2, and if not 11.2, future 0.5, 0.7 patches, and if we're super desperate, then midnight. These are things that I've been thinking about for Resto Shaman for a long time, and I want to share them with you as a wish list. I saw Megaset do this, and I thought, hey, why not do this for my channel? The first thing I want to see for Resto Shaman is an external cooldown. Resto Shaman cooldowns have always been raid-wide effectiveness. Healing Tide, Spirit Link, Ascendance, and Earthen Wall Totem. It's always been about raid-wide effectiveness, and that becomes increasingly problematic in PvP because it's all about potency, and none of these cooldowns are potent. Now, for an external cooldown, I would think to change Spirit Link Totem. Now, we used to have a PvP talent called Spirit Link, and this had the exact same effect of Spirit Link Totem, except it was not a totem, and it would link the two closest targets to you, the two closest allies to you, and would give you the Spirit Link Totem effect between the three of you. Now, that was pretty bad because there was no direction, it was simply just the two closest targets to you. So it still had the really bad effect of like, okay, well, if someone just comes up right to me at the wrong time, and this person doesn't need the effects, then well, he's gonna get linked, and it kind of sucks, you know. In Arena, it wasn't that bad, but for any other group-wide content, yeah, it's horrible. It was a PvP talent, but if you could change that to be a true external cooldown, to where I can target whoever I want to Spirit Link, and Spirit Link the both of us. If I want to Spirit Link this Orgrimmar Grunt, we'd both be Spirit Linked and be under the effect of Spirit Link, the 10% damage reduction, the immediate, and every 1 second health redistribution effect. I think that could be really good. Earthen Wall Totem, not super effective. I want to see this buffed pretty massively. It's just something that's not going to hold up patch to patch compared to an actual standard damage reduction cooldown. It's always going to be 30% of whatever that number is, whatever that, you know, number of aim shot or Templar's Verdict is. 39,000 to 50,000 damage getting shaved off of each attack is just not strong enough, especially when we have 12 million HP in PvP. It's not good enough because it's a direct number. It can scale really badly going from patch to patch. Then simply just buff the Earthen Wall effect to be the strength of what a double Earthen Wall Totem is. Double Earthen Wall has historically felt pretty good. It still feels pretty decent now, but this should be the effects of a singular Earthen Wall Totem. That's how strong I think Earthen Wall Totem should be as strong as a double Earthen Wall Totem. Riptide healing. Now, Riptide is always hard to buff because you have to consider a lot of modifiers: White Water, Torrent, Unleashed Life, Undercurrent, Primal Tide Core, Wave Speakers, Coalescing, Ancestral Awakening. A lot of modifiers. However, whenever they do buff Riptide, guess what they always do? They buff the initial heal of Riptide, which means the heal over time is never getting affected. And then make sure to do this because the Riptide healing over time is affected by how much your direct healing of Riptide is. So if I Riptide right now, you see it's 28,000. If I Unleash Life it, buff it by 35%, my Riptide's going to heal for more, 39,000. See that? So whenever they do buffs, they always buff the initial heal to ensure that the Riptide healing over time does not get out of control. But currently, it heals for like 60,000, probably maybe upwards to 80,000 healing over time in PvP combat. That is ridiculously low. Just as much as any of the other very low healing over time effects in the game. This should be bumped up massively. I'm not sure Wave Speaker's Blessings is the answer, but if you want to keep this in the game, this has to be massively buffed. I mean, I'm talking about like a 30% to 60% you know, ratio for Wave Speaker's Blessing. If that's too much, then fine. 25% to 50%, 20 to 40%. Just the way it is right now, 10 to 20% is not good. This needs major power into it, or simply just make some of these direct healing, initial healing talents of Riptide actually work on the healing over time of Riptide. Simple as that. And one more thing before I go. Unleash Life, please make Riptide not override my Unleash Life Riptide. I Unleash Life Riptide there. If I'm to cast Riptide again, it'll override the Unleash Life Riptide. Please fix that. It's not a bug, that's just how it intentionally works, but that should not how it should intentionally work. It should extend that Unleash Life heal over time. Lava Burst damage. I want to get Lava Burst back into our rotation, not only doing good damage, but also having an actual influence in our rotation. Healers have undergone a lot of development to actually have a combat rotation that influences their healing rotation in some way, shape, or form, whether it's healing or mana or resource generation, whatever it is. Healers have undergone that playstyle. And guess what's been left out? Resto Shaman. Resto Shaman has none of that playstyle. It does not play like a Resto Druid or Holy Paladin. None of those. Nothing. There's nothing I can do for offense. So if we can find a way to get Lava Burst back into the mix, I think that would make Resto Shaman so much more fun and easier accessible. One of the ways I'd find a way to get Lava Burst back into the mix is actually removing the cooldown of Flame Shock. Now that might be sketchy, but I used to love Elemental Shaman in Legion. Used to have no cooldown on Flame Shock, then they added a cooldown in BFA, and then that was just the death of Elemental Shaman for me. I just never played it ever again. If they could remove Flame Shock off the cooldown for Resto Shaman, so I can actually spread my dot and actually take the time out of my many globals of healing to get Flame Shocks out there, cool. Lava Surges are going to come in hot. Lava Burst damage needs to be buffed. It can guarantee crit, yet it can get out damaged by a lightning bolt very frequently. Not good. This needs to have at least like a 20% damage buff, because right now it hits for nothing. And I mean nothing, legit nothing. So a damage buff would be really great. But on top of that, a talent or some way that could give you an incentive whenever you cast Lava Burst. Something similar to Forest Guardian for Resto Druid. We have something like that called Master the Elements, which is okay. I use it for Totemic, but I just feel like it's not properly designed. I feel like if there was something like casting Lava Burst increases this stat by this percent for 10 seconds, stacks up 3 times, one of those effects I think could be really good. Resto Shaman does not have a stat increase in their talents. Every healer has a stat increase. Resto Druid, Holy Paladin, Mischievous Monk has a conduit. You know, every healer has some form of stat increase, whether it's increasing the primary stat or a secondary stat. But the Shaman does not actually have any of that. So if they could do that for Lava Burst, casting Lava Burst will increase this stat. It could be primary stat, it could be mastery, it could be haste or crit, whatever it may be. I think that could be really cool to see for Resto Shaman. Totemic Projection, I'm going to say this a million times over. It needs to be a 5-second cooldown, especially as Totemic. It's just the worst thing ever. As Totemic, the main problem is my Surgeon Totem. As it's my main strength, it's also my main weakness. If people just walk onto my Surgeon Totem, it's game over. If we take Arena, for example, I Surgeon Totem us, okay, boom, we have healing. Okay, the Warlock uses Gateway to get over here. No problem, I'll move it to you guys. Well, great, now the Priest Life Grip them. Okay, well now they gotta cross the map, and now my Surgeon Totem is sitting here doing no healing to none of my teammates. Bit unfortunate. Okay, 10 seconds is over, I move it now, but guess what? He uses his Demonic Circle to gate back all the way over here. And now my Surgeon Totem is still back over here, having no value, healing nobody. It's really annoying, because Totemic Projection is a 10-second cooldown. I think that's absolutely ridiculous for Resto Shaman. This should be 5 seconds. It would open up, obviously, the mobility of just mobilizing your Surgeon Totem. And on top of that, other buffs like Earthen Wall Totem, Windrush Totem, making more use of the Capacitor Totem, relocating it on top of the healer to stun them. Same thing with Earth Grab Totems, constantly moving and mobilizing your Earth Grab Totem around the map to catch rogues from, you know, going back into stealth or stopping drinks and all that stuff. There's so much possibilities that could happen if Totemic Projection was a 5-second cooldown. Now moving on to PvP talents, we have Counterstrike Totem. I feel like it's really hard to buff Counterstrike Totem because it's called the idiot check for a reason. If an idiot leaves Counterstrike Totem alone for 15 seconds, it's going to do a lot of damage. But the downside is that it's a totem, so it can be killed instantly, which is the most case scenario that happens. So 2 things you could do for Counterstrike Totem. One is have an invulnerability stage for it, 3 seconds at max of invulnerability. So it can't just be killed instantly, it can actually get some value out of it. Either that, or simply just not making it a totem. Have it just be Counterstrike. If I Counterstrike myself for 15 seconds, and allies in my 26-yard radius who take damage will have that damage directed back to the attacker at 75% effectiveness, I think they could be pretty cool. Electrocute is really bad, because it just does no damage, but on top of that, it does not scale with Greater Purge. That's the first change I'd make to Electrocute, is make it scale off Greater Purge. But the thing I'd want to see most of all is actually have a dual effect with Electrocute. We used to have a talent called Cleansing Waters, and whenever you purged or cleansed, you would restore 5% of your maximum health. So if they can bring something similar to that for Electrocute, to make it so whenever you purge an enemy, it'll deal the nature damage, but if you were to cleanse an ally, it'll do that same number, but in healing over time for 3 seconds. I think it could be pretty cool. Having it a spell enhancer is actually really good as a healer and really underrated. Not all healers, I think all healers have a spell enhancer. Cleanse the weak, purification, counteract magic. I think that'd be pretty cool to bring back a talent that wasn't really widely used in that time. Bring an iteration of it into today's world. Unleash Shield. It's super fun, but it's just not reliable. You're putting in more work to actually make this effective than the actual effectiveness of the skill. Remove the Lightning Shield. If you're an Elemental or Enhancement Shaman, the Lightning Shield effect would replace the Water Shield effect because you can't use Water Shield as a Elemental or Enhance. But as a Resto Shaman, I can use Lightning Shield, but I don't want to because I don't want to constantly cycle through my shields, reapplying them just for this stupid talent. So remove the Lightning Shield effect away from Resto Shaman. And enhance Water Shield and Earth Shield. The Whirlpool from Water Shield is so small, it's quite literally the size of like this rug or this the teleportation platform. Very small. Increase the radius of the Water Shield. And the Earth Shield either attach a slow that when they are affected by the Earth Shield root, they will have a slow attached to them, or make it so the root is unbreakable and cannot be cleansed. Because Earth Shield root does not have the same threshold of damage that Earth Grab does or any other root in the game does. It's one of the old school roots that the minute you place it, it just immediately breaks. So should increase the damage threshold of Earth Shield root or make it so it's unbreakable, undispellable. I think those changes would make Unleash Shield a bit more played. Static Field Totem, you guys know I love it. It's always been my right hand man in all my Resto Shaman videos. It's always just had my back. I've always gotten a good value of Static Field Totem. But right now, Static Field Totem is just not as effective, and one of the main reasons is the cooldown. It used to be a minute cooldown, but they changed that, I believe, sometime during the pre-patch of the Earthen, or maybe like late Dragonflight. But they increased the cooldown from 1 minute to now 1.5 minutes, and that just kind of killed the talent. It was the frequency and the disruption of the Static Field Totem that made it good. You know, we finally had a way to kind of control the map compared to other healers that could do that in their sleep, you know? So that was really good. But now it's a 1.5 minute cooldown. It's kind of like, this doesn't really line up with anything as well, you know? So it's a little bit awkward. I'd really like to see Static Field Totem be brought back down to a 1 minute cooldown. Windrush Totem, simple. Bring back Windrush Totem from Mr. Pandaria till now. Simple as that. Having a 2 minute cooldown that'll grant immunities, slows, and movement speed effects to my team, I think will be crazy beneficial, especially because we have really no ways to help end the game quicker as a Resto Shaman. So having a way to enable my team to end the game quicker rather than myself, I think is really good. Through immunity to slows and snare effects to help them reach the targets faster and help just mobilize the map to their advantage. I think Windrush Totem would be a great addition to have from Mr. Pandaria back into the retail world. Ancestral Awakening, Cataclysm Ancestral Awakening was just so much better. You knew who was going to proc on, and you knew when it was going to proc off crits, and it worked on the lowest health allies in your party or raid. It's just not good now. It's too much chance, and I just don't know who's getting the benefit of my healing. I really don't. So if you could change Ancestral Awakening, either A, bring back Cataclysm Ancestral Awakening, or change the skill. Rework it. I think it would be kind of interesting to have it work as a different effect, with Healing Wave, Riptide, or Healing Surge, proccing a Ancestor on the lowest health ally within 40 yards for 8 seconds, and having 20% of the effective healing you deal to other allies heal the Ancestor affected target. I think that'd be pretty cool. Multiple overlaps could happen, so multiple targets could get an Ancestor. I think that'd be pretty cool. As the way it is right now, it's just incredibly weak. And last, we have Earth Elemental. I think Earth Elemental should be baseline. I kind of find it funny that it's not baseline. It's the icon of my class. You know, Shaman, summoning elementals. Yeah, it's a talent. I think Earth Elemental was a baseline talent. I think that, or baseline skill in my spell book, I think that'd be really cool because Resto Metal is cool and it gives me 15% max health. I feel like that'd help Resto Shaman defense a lot if this was simply just a default skill. And there you have it. That's my wish list for Restoration Shaman. Hopefully you all have your own wish list, and if you do, you can leave them in the comment section below, and we can all share a wish list together to all come to the realization that these are never going to be implemented in the game, and we are just simply coming up with these to deny the fact that Blizzard hates Resto Shamans.